The night sky over Earth's northern territory burned red. Captain Rayan stood near the edge of a deep trench, his boots sinking slightly into the mud. Behind him, thousands of soldiers waited in silence. The air was thick with tension. Something was coming, something not human. Only days ago, the sky was clear, the cities alive, and the world had peace. Now, pieces of metal and fire fell from the stars, and nothing made sense anymore. It started with a signal. Not a voice, not a sound, but a strange pulse. Scientists called it a biowave. It didn't come from Earth. It didn't match anything known. It was alive, intelligent. And it was getting stronger. At first, no one worried. People laughed. Some said it was just space noise. But then the dreams began. Soldiers, pilots, even children, they all described the same thing. A woman with glowing silver eyes and a voice like music. She would appear in a field of stars and say one sentence, "Don't let him kiss her." The warning was strange. Who was him? Who was her? And why would a kiss matter in a war? The governments tried to block the news, but it spread. Millions had the dream. And then the sky tore open. A tear in space, like a wound, appeared above Earth. From it came ships, not metal ones, but smooth, dark crafts that looked like living creatures. They moved without sound, without heat, like they were swimming through air. Earth's armies fired first, and Earth lost. The first battle lasted only 3 minutes. All weapons failed. Jets fell from the sky without being touched. Tanks stopped moving. Soldiers froze in place, eyes wide, bodies shaking. Not from pain, from something else. Something inside their heads. Captain Rayan had survived that first battle. Somehow, he stayed awake. He remembered the woman's voice in his dream. "Don't let him kiss her." It echoed in his skull like a curse. Now he waited, not knowing if he would live to see another sunrise. Beside him, Lieutenant Mara scanned the sky with night goggles. "They're not coming with ships this time," she whispered. "They're walking, like they want us to see them." He looked where she pointed. Figures, human shapes, were moving over the hill, slowly, calmly, like they were on a morning walk, but they weren't human. Their skin was pale blue, eyes glowing like cold fire. And in the middle of them walked a woman taller than all the rest. She wore no armor, no weapon, just a strange silver robe. Even from far away, Rayan saw her eyes. He'd seen them before. In his dream. "Is that her?" Mara asked. He didn't answer. He couldn't. His mouth had gone dry. His heart was pounding. As the woman stepped forward, the air grew heavy. The soldiers behind him stirred. Some began walking forward without orders. "Hold your ground," Rayan shouted, but they kept walking. Not one of them looked afraid. They looked entranced. The woman raised one hand, soft, slow, almost like she was welcoming them. Her lips curled into a smile. "Pull them back," Mara shouted. "They're under some kind of spell." But Rayan wasn't listening anymore. The woman was looking directly at him now. And then he heard it again. Not in the air. Not from her mouth. Inside his mind, "Don't let him kiss her." The voice wasn't hers. It was the one from before. But now it was louder. Urgent. Rayan turned toward Mara. "Tell command, she's not leading them. She's bait. Someone, or something, is coming to meet her. That's the real threat." Before Mara could reply, the sky behind the alien woman lit up with a second tear. Another figure began to descend. It wasn't her army. It wasn't Earth's. It was him. Who was he? Why did he matter more than all these ships, weapons, and battles? And why did the dreams warn only of a kiss? Captain Rayan gripped his weapon tighter, because sometimes a war doesn't start with bombs. It starts with a choice. And this war was only just beginning. Asterisk, the sky split like broken glass. From the glowing tier, a man slowly descended. He wore no armor, no helmet, no suit. Just a black coat that fluttered in the air, even though there was no wind. His feet didn't touch the ground right away. He hovered, silent, watching. Captain Rayan stared up at him, heart racing. This man, this was him. The one from the warning. The one the woman with silver eyes was waiting for. Mara's voice shook. Is he one of them? No, Rayan said slowly. He's not with us, not with them either, because something felt different. The aliens moved like shadows, smooth and perfect. But this man moved like a human, awkward, unsure, and yet the air around him pulsed with invisible force. The soldiers who had been walking toward the alien woman stopped. Some fell to their knees. Others covered their ears. It was like the space between them was bending. The man finally landed. He looked human, brown hair, tired eyes, no glow, no alien features, just a man. But every step he took shook the ground like thunder. The woman with silver eyes didn't move. She smiled wider, like she had waited lifetimes for this moment. Who is he? Mara asked. I don't know, Rayan said, but he's the reason all this is happening. The woman stepped forward. So did the man, one step at a time, like a dance. The air between them sparked with thin white lines, like cracks in glass. Then, without warning, both of them stopped, and the world held its breath. A low sound filled the air, not a roar, not music. It was something else, like 1,000 whispers speaking at once. Every human soldier dropped their weapons. Some began to cry. Others screamed. Only Rayan stood still, teeth clenched. Mara, can you hear it? She nodded, covering her ears. They're speaking, in our heads. What are they saying? They're not speaking to us, she said. They're speaking to each other. The man raised his hand. Just a small gesture, but the alien army froze in place. Even the woman. For the first time, her smile faded, and then she spoke, not with her mouth, but in everyone's minds. You're late. The man replied with one word, not loud, not angry, just quiet and cold. I had to remember. In the control room deep beneath Earth's surface, generals and scientists watched through cameras. Most couldn't speak. One man, an older general, with a scar across his face, leaned closer to the screen. Pause the feed. Zoom in on the man's face, he ordered. The tech obeyed. The general's hand shook. That's impossible, he whispered. A young officer asked, Sir, who is he? The general stared at the screen. He's not on any records. Not anymore. But I saw him once, 20 years ago, during Project Echo. Project Echo? It was shut down, buried. They said the subject died in testing. But I remember. He was the only one who survived contact with the Whisper Corps. The officer looked confused. What's the Whisper Corps? The general's eyes narrowed. A weapon we never understood. One that speaks through dreams and kills through touch. Back on the battlefield, the man and the silver-eyed woman stood inches apart. No one moved. Then, softly, almost kindly, she whispered, Do you remember my name? He looked at her, not with love, not with hate, but with deep sadness. Yes, he said, and I wish I didn't. She leaned closer. Then kiss me. End this. End you. Rayan felt a wave of pressure push him backward. It wasn't physical. It was in his chest, his mind, like the world was about to collapse. Mara shouted, Don't let him do it. That's what they warned us. But how could they stop a man who wasn't even human anymore? The man slowly reached toward the woman's face. His hand glowed faintly. Silver and blue light danced between their fingers. Rayan raised his rifle, not to shoot, but just to do something, anything. Then everything stopped, not paused, not slowed. Stopped. Birds in the air, leaves in the wind, even sound time itself broke. And in that frozen silence, the man whispered one final word: "Forgive me." Time stood still. Captain Rayan couldn't move. He couldn't speak. His heart beat once and then nothing. Even the wind had frozen. It was as if someone had pressed pause on the entire world, but he was still moving. The man in black. He stood there, hand raised toward the silver-eyed woman. Their fingers almost touched. But instead of kissing her, he closed his eyes, and the world began to bend. The sky twisted. The stars above flickered like broken lights. The ground below them turned dark, like water soaking into a dry sponge. Then the man whispered a single word: "Show them." Rayan gasped. He could move again, but he wasn't on the battlefield anymore. He was standing inside someone else's memory. The sky was purple. The ground looked like glass, and huge towers floated in the air. Strange lights blinked all around. And ahead of him stood the same man, younger, cleaner, smiling, surrounded by scientists in white suits. This was a lab. But not any lab on Earth. It felt wrong, too perfect, too quiet. A voice spoke over the intercom. "Subject 43, can you hear us?" The young man nodded, loud and clear. The voice continued, "You are about to interface with the Whisper Core. Do not resist. Let the memories guide you." Rayan felt his breath catch. This was it, the moment the man changed. Room went dark. The young man stepped forward. In front of him was a floating black orb, pulsing like a heart. Whispers filled the air. Words in 1,000 languages, all speaking at once. The young man hesitated. "What's inside it?" The voice replied, "A weapon. A warning. A woman. No one truly knows." He reached out, touched the orb, and screamed. In less than a second, his body lifted into the air. Light poured out of his mouth and eyes. The whispers grew louder, and then suddenly stopped. He fell to the ground. The scientists ran to him. One shouted, "Check his vitals." Another whispered, "It shouldn't have worked." None of the others survived contact. But the young man slowly sat up. He looked around. His eyes were glowing now, soft golden, not silver like the woman's. "But not human anymore," he spoke calmly. "I saw her." "A scientist asked." He replied with one name, Alara. Suddenly, Rayan was back on the battlefield. The memory had ended, but something had changed. The man was still standing, hand stretched toward the woman, Alara. Her silver eyes were no longer smiling. They were wide with shock. "You remember," she whispered. "After all these years, you finally remember me." The man nodded. "I didn't want to," he said softly. "But I had to." In the hidden command center, the old general leaned forward. "Her name is Alara, so she's not just a leader. She's the core." A scientist shook his head. "If she's the Whisper Core in human form, then contact with her isn't just dangerous. It could rewrite a person's entire reality." "Exactly," the general said. "That's why they warned us. That kiss... It's not romance. It's fusion. If he kisses her, they merge. Two minds, one power. And then?" The young officer asked. "Then Earth becomes nothing but memory." Alara stepped closer to the man. "We were once one, before they split us. Before they made you forget." "I know," he said. "But I'm not yours anymore." "You were never mine," she said, gently. "You were always ours. You belong to the core." She reached for his hand. "I won't stop you," she said. "You're free to choose. You always were." Captain Rayan raised his weapon again, shaking. "Don't do it." He yelled out. The man looked at him. "You don't understand." This war started the moment they took her from me. It ends when I decide who I am." He looked back at Elara. Their hands touched, and for a second, nothing happened. Then, a light exploded between them, bright and endless. Soldiers screamed. Machines stopped. The alien army fell to its knees, and at the center of the light, there, voices spoke together, one male, one female. "We are memory. We are warning. We are choice." Asterisk. The battlefield was gone. No smoke. No fire. No sound. Captain Ryan opened his eyes, but he wasn't on Earth anymore. He stood on a white surface that stretched forever. There was no sky, no ground, just light. And silence. In front of him floated two glowing shapes, one golden, one silver, slowly circling each other. They weren't solid. They looked like clouds made of light, shifting, changing. Then a voice, calm, soft, not male or female, spoke from everywhere at once. "This is the code." Rayan turned around, trying to understand. "Where am I?" He shouted. "Inside the moment after fusion," the voice said. "Where thought becomes structure, where memory becomes command." And then he saw them, the man and the woman, not glowing, now human again, standing face to face, Elara, and the man who once had no name, now they were both silent, their foreheads touching, eyes closed. Rayan stepped forward. "What are you doing? What is this place?" Elara opened her eyes. "We are rewriting the war." The man looked at Rayan, calm but serious. "We fused, but we didn't merge completely. That would end everything. We held back." "Why?" Rayan asked. "Why hold back?" Elara answered, "Because we remembered what choice means. We remembered." "You?" Mara's voice echoed from behind. "Rayan, you okay?" He turned. She was there now, standing next to him, just as confused. "Where are we?" She whispered. Rayan didn't know what to say. The man walked toward them. "You're inside the fusion code, a place that exists only between thought and time. Only those with direct contact may enter." "So why us?" Mara asked. Elara spoke, her voice gentle. "Because Earth must decide." She lifted her hand, and suddenly the space around them shifted. Scenes from different timelines appeared like glass windows. One showed Earth completely destroyed, black and burning. Another showed Earth ruled by alien beings. A third showed peace but no humans, just empty cities under alien skies. And the last showed humans and aliens working side by side. Children laughing. Planets shared. "These are possible futures," Elara said. "All of them real. All of them waiting." Rayan pointed at the peaceful one. "Why not just choose that?" The man shook his head. "Because it can't be chosen by us. It must be chosen by Earth." "And how?" Mara asked. "People are scared. Some are already surrendering. Others want revenge." The man turned toward her. "That's why we need the message. One truth, broadcast to all minds, all species, at once. Pure, unfiltered memory." Elara added, "That's what the fusion code can do. But only with a key, a human key." In the real world, Earth's command centers were in chaos. Every soldier, civilian, and scientist had frozen for 5 minutes. Now they were awake and terrified. But something was different. Every screen on the planet began showing the same image, a floating golden symbol, like two spirals wrapped together. Then a message appeared in every language. "You are being offered a choice. Remember the dream." The kiss was not death, it was decision. Back inside the fusion code, Rand stood still. He was remembering now. As a child, he too had the dream. A woman with silver eyes. A voice telling him, "Don't let him kiss her." but he never knew why. He spoke slowly. That warning? It wasn't about stopping destruction. It was about delaying choice. Elara nodded. Correct. The warning was placed inside the human species as protection, but protection became fear, and fear turned into war. The man looked at him. Now that fear is ending, but only if you say yes. To what? Rayan asked. To becoming the final key. A messenger, a carrier of the truth. You'll return. But not just as a captain, as the one who holds memory. Mara grabbed his arm. You don't have to do this. Rayan looked at her. If I don't, the others will only see the war. They won't understand the choice. He turned back to the two beings. What happens if I say yes? You'll remember all the timelines, said Elara, even the ones where Earth dies. You will still be human, said the man, but never the same. Rayan took a deep breath and nodded double quotes to it. The light exploded around him. Memories rushed into his brain, not just his own, but from other worlds, other futures, other versions of himself. Pain, peace, fire, laughter, death, hope. He fell to his knees. Mara tried to help him, but he stopped. I'm okay, he whispered. I see it now. Elara and the man began to fade. You are the bridge, they said together. Carry the message. Let Earth choose. Captain Rayan woke up gasping for air. The battlefield was back. Smoke rose. The alien ships hovered above, still silent. His soldiers stood frozen in fear, and the alien army was motionless, like everyone was waiting for a signal. But something had changed. He had changed. His eyes weren't glowing, but they held something new, understanding. His mind was full of memories that were not his, and yet they belonged to him now. Timelines, choices, lives, deaths. He remembered every future that fusion code had shown. Mara rushed to his side. Are you okay? You just collapsed and then? Glowed for a second. Rayan looked around, dazed. It wasn't just light. It was all of it. Everything. Every path we could take. I saw them all. She frowned. Saw what? He turned toward the alien army. The end of Earth, the survival of Earth, the silence, the surrender, the war, and the peace? He nodded. Yes, but only one timeline has that peace, and it depends on the message. Above them, the sky lit up again. A beam of golden. Light shot into the clouds, not from a weapon, but from Rayan himself. His body stood straight, arms lifted, eyes closed. Words filled the air, but no one could hear them with their ears. They were heard in the mind. Every human, every alien, every being touched by the conflict, they heard it. We have fought over fear. We have destroyed over dreams. But now, the war waits. We must choose not what we are, but what we wish to become. In cities across Earth, people stopped what they were doing. Civilians cried. Soldiers dropped their guns. Scientists stared at the sky in disbelief. Children pointed and whispered, "He's talking to us." Even in space, orbiting ships received the pulse, the signal of unity, of warning, of memory. The message was clear. The future is not written, but it will be by what you do next. But not everyone welcomed it. In a dark chamber beneath the U.S. Defense Network, General North slammed his fist on the table. This is psychological warfare. He's been compromised. A younger officer replied, "Sir, there's no sign of manipulation." Everyone got the same message. North leaned forward, voice cold. If this Captain Rayan is broadcasting alien code, we have to consider him a threat. Activate Project Null. The room fell silent. Sir? You heard me. If this is some kind of mind virus, we shut it down, permanently. Back on the field, Rayan stumbled, exhausted. The beam faded. He fell to his knees. Mara caught him. You did it. They heard you. But he shook his head. It's not enough. It was never about the message alone. It's about what they do after hearing it. Ilara's voice echoed softly in his mind. This is where the code ends and the true test begins. Suddenly, the alien army began to move, but not to attack. They turned away, stepping back. Kneeling, one of them, a tall, blue-skinned commander, approached slowly, then removed the glowing sigil from his chest. He held it out to Rayan, a symbol of surrender, or perhaps respect. At the same time, Earth's armies received a broadcast. Alien forces are retreating, standing down, awaiting Earth's decision. It was happening. The moment. Would humanity respond with fear or with understanding? General North issued the final order. Target locked. Fire in 60 seconds. A missile, loaded with anti-neural tech, aimed directly at Rayan's location. If launched, it wouldn't just kill him. It would erase everything connected to the fusion code. In a hidden base in Europe, a lone scientist named Dr. Lena watched the countdown. She had worked on Project Echo long ago. She knew what Rayan had become. And she knew what Earth would lose. She whispered to herself, "We begged for a choice. Now we want to destroy the man who gave it to us." She hacked into the command channel. "This is Dr. Lena Farrow. Cancel launch. He's not a weapon. He's the mirror." Back on the field, Rayan looked at Mara. "It's not in my hands anymore." "It never was," she nodded. "Then we wait." And for the first time in years, they did. In orbit, the missile was 10 seconds from launch. Humanity had to decide, silence the message, or listen. 10 seconds. That's all Earth had. In orbit, above the planet, the missile waited, locked on Captain Rayan's coordinates. Inside its warhead, an anti-neural payload designed to destroy not just the body, but the memory patterns connected to the fusion code. If fired, Rayan would vanish. So would the message. So would the chance for peace. On the battlefield, Rayan stood still. He felt the countdown ticking inside him. Not because he knew the time, but because the memory of death had already entered his mind. He had seen this. Moment before, in one of the futures, Mara clutched his arm. "Do we run?" "No," he said. "If they fire, it means they've already decided." "They're not deciding," she said bitterly. "They're scared," Rayan nodded. "That's exactly why I won't move. If I fall, they have to live with the choice." In the command center, General North's face was pale. His finger hovered over the launch key. 5 seconds. The operator said. North's eyes were locked on the screen, on Rayan, on the aliens retreating, on soldiers dropping weapons. Too much change. Too fast. What if this piece is just the first move in a bigger invasion? He muttered. But a voice cut through the radio. Calm, human, female. "This is Dr. Lena Farrow. You're not stopping a threat. You're silencing a choice." North froze. She continued. "He's not the enemy. He became the vessel because no one else would. He's carrying something we buried. Memory, truth, a future where we don't repeat our own fear." 2 seconds, the operator whispered. North gritted his teeth. "Stand by launch," the room gasped. "Sir?" I said stand by. The countdown paused. 1 second left. Silence. On the battlefield, Rayan blinked. The vision of death lifted from his mind. "They stopped," he whispered. Mara looked to the sky. "For now, but it's still 1 second from midnight." The alien commander, tall, pale blue, eyes like fog, stepped forward. He spoke in clear English. "You held the line, even when your own species turned against you." Rayan looked up. "We don't want control. We want understanding." The alien tilted his head. "That's rare. Rayan smiled sadly. That's human. The commander extended his hand, not in attack, but in peace. In our history, he said, no species has ever rejected the kiss and survived the memory. You're the first to stand between. The skies cleared. Alien ships ascended slowly, no weapons fired. No threats made? Just silence, but not fear. Respect. The soldiers, who had once pointed rifles, now stood watching history. Mara whispered, Is it over? Rayan shook his head. No, we've just chosen not to end it today. Far away, in every capital of the world, leaders met in silence. No more orders. No more launches. For once, Earth had nothing to say, and that was the wisest thing it could do. That night, people around the world dreamt the same dream. A man and a woman standing back to back in a field of stars. Between them, a line of light. Behind them, two possible futures, and a voice spoke, This is not the end. This is the first second after midnight. Back at the field, Mara built a fire as the sun began to rise. Rayan sat beside her, quiet. You. Don't talk much now, she said. Too much noise in my head, he replied. You still hear them? Yes, not voices, memories. I can see the paths, feel the echoes. She leaned back. So what now? He looked at the sky. Now we wait. The future isn't something we charge into anymore. It's something we build. And if they come back, he turned to her, eyes steady. Then we talk. And if that fails, he smiled faintly. Then we remember. The stars were quiet again. Weeks had passed since the fusion. The alien ships had left Earth's skies. The battlefield was now a field of grass and ash. But Earth had not gone back to normal. It had changed, slowly, silently, like a deep breath before a new sentence. Captain Rayan was no longer just a soldier. He had become something else, a memory keeper, a witness, a bridge between what humanity feared and what it could become. He now lived on the edge of the northern zone, near the place where the fusion had happened. Not in a city, not on a base, just a small shelter where silence was. Loud enough to hear what others ignored. People came to him sometimes. Scientists, soldiers, even children. They didn't come for answers. They came for the stories. He never told them what to believe. He only told them what he had seen. Mara visited often. She still wore her uniform, but no longer followed orders. She followed questions now. One day, she found Rayan sitting alone, watching the sky. Do you think they'll return? She asked. They never left, he replied. Parts of them are still here, in memory. In the dreams people are having. Dreams? He nodded. Same as before, but different now. No more warnings. Just whispers. In a lab far underground, Dr. Lena Farrow monitored dream patterns across the planet. Children in Africa spoke of a silver-eyed woman planting trees in space. Miners in South America described hearing a man's voice before falling asleep saying, You're more than what you fear. And in every case, the dreams came with a calm feeling. Not command, not control. Just presence. In orbit, Earth's remaining satellites recorded something strange. A ripple, like a gentle breath in space, passed through the atmosphere every 72 hours. Not dangerous. Not measurable in temperature or radiation. Just ... The scientists called it Echo-7. Rayan called it the last echo. One morning, Mara brought Rayan a simple meal, bread and fruit. He looked tired, older, like the weight of many lives was pressing gently on his spine. You look like someone who's been carrying a planet, she said. He smiled. I'm not carrying it. I'm just keeping it steady while it learns to walk again. She sat beside him. They're building a council now. Humans and aliens. Neutral ground, orbital base. Good, he said. It has to be equal. Number. Flags, no weapons. They asked me to speak for Earth, she added, but I said no. He looked surprised. Why? I told them Earth already chose its voice. She handed him a small data crystal. They want you instead. He didn't. Take it. I've spoken enough, he said. Now the world has to speak for itself. That night, the sky flickered. A thin white thread stretched from the moon's dark side to Earth's surface. It wasn't an attack. It wasn't technology. It was a signal. A gentle reminder that the fusion code still watched, not as a threat, but as a memory, a test that Earth had barely passed. Rayan sat under the stars, alone again. He closed his eyes. And he saw her. Elara. Not as a weapon, not as a mystery, just as she was in the beginning, standing in a field of light, offering him her hand. Not to destroy, not to kiss, but to remember. She spoke softly in his mind. You chose well. Not perfectly, but honestly, he replied with a smile. It was never about perfection. She nodded. Only intention. Somewhere far from Earth, in the cold between stars, a planet stirred. Not dead, not hostile. Just waiting. Watching. Because Earth's choice had awakened others, and the fusion code was only the first of many echoes to come. Back on Earth, a child in a remote village looked up at the stars and whispered, "They're listening now." Her mother asked, "Who is?" The child smiled. "Us."